I know you're using a. Never mind.
Oh, you're good.
I was gonna say I know you're using a ring light, so it's so funny. I see the little
Yeah,
reflection in the.
I try. I'm trying. I don't want to do them without my glasses because everything's so blurry. But I'm like, I need my glasses, and I'm like, this in my basement's so dark. It's just like I need them. Okay.
It's funny because I wear glasses too, but I don't need them except for distances. So that's why you never see me in them in the videos. So I'm just kind of like,
I
as long
need
as I know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I need them regardless. It's just like it makes me feel better, like knowing that I can see.
Yeah, mine looks just like yours, man.
My Clark Kent, and I call them my Clark Kents.
Yeah, I call them my geeks.
Yeah, oh, I like that. That's what I like. My first pair were like Dahmer glasses. That's the ones I.
My
That was my.
first pair were just my first pair were just kind of like they almost look kind of like they were shaped almost like aviators, except
Okay.
without the tint,
Okay.
And it was just like I couldn't wait to get out of those.
Oh, same. I like when I like knew I had to get glasses. Like these were always going to be like my end game. Like I need to get a new pair, regardless. But it's just need to go get a new eye exam so I can get me a new pair of glasses because I've had
I
these.
just got a new pair like yeah, I just got a new pair like last year. That's when I got the geeks. I was so happy to get out of the wire rim thing.
Oh, like yeah, like these don't even have like nose pieces. It's just like all one frame. I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
exactly. Yeah, and they just slide over the.
It's so much. It's so more comfortable and it's like less like I don't have to worry about losing pieces and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
okay, well it was a good cold open to the video. um
Yeah. Welcome to Brother Max, and we're talking about eyewear.
yeah. um Today, like we hinted at it in the last stream that we did. We talked about I mentioned that I watched Thriller, a cruel picture for the first time. Oh, that's the one you got too. And so but you got the Blu-ray, you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the 4K one. So um and it was just like I I don't buy too many movies from Vinegar Syndrome, but I like after like I can't remember who was talking about it, and I'm like, oh, I have to get that. I think it was you.
It
My
was me. It was me.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I really have to check this movie out now. I'm like, and then it was just like I watched it, and I'm like, it was so good, and but like no one warned me what of like
No
how
one
like
warned me either.
oh really
Yeah, so no one warned me either. So I grew up watching the U.S. version of this. They call her One Eye, and this movie has been on my to buy list for at least 15 years on Amazon.
oh really
So so you could buy it. You could buy They Call Her One Eye, and you could buy A Cruel Picture separately. But I've been waiting. I'm like, I wanna be able to compare the two. I want to see what the differences are. Is one more violent than the other? Because on the back it says banned. This this movie was banned in Christina Lindbergh's own country.
in Sweden.
Yeah. And so I wanted to see what's the big deal. Why was it banned in there? And so finally, Vinegar Syndrome, a company combined the two and put them out. Well, Severin did it too, but for some reason, I heard that the transfer wasn't that great on the Severin version. It was just they just ported over a VHS,
Oh really
VHS versions, and so nothing against Severin. I love Severin. Don't get me wrong,
yeah
but I just
a couple
I wanted. You and I have both put a good amount of money into Severin.
yeah oh yeah the Killer
But
Crocodile movie. What I have yeah.
the Killer Crocodile movies, yeah. But but yeah, so I wanted to get this, and it turns out that there's like about, I don't know, 10, 15-minute porn scene in the middle. You get to see the meat in two bits, you know, the
in and out.
yeah, the in and outs, you know, and so I just remember the movie as a vengeance movie, and I got nothing against porn. You want to watch porn? Good for you. But it didn't really add anything to the movie, you know,
I
for me.
agree. It I think it was just being in there for the sake of being in there, but but it didn't really add nothing to the there were some shots where she was facing the camera, I think, and the guy's behind her or whatever. Like those shots are fine, but like actual seeing the the
The
real
mechanics of the whole thing.
yeah, it's like nah,
Yeah.
like so that I was going to try and watch they call her One Eye, like the US version before today, but I didn't have any time to do it, so maybe that for a future video so I can
Yeah.
talk about it.
But for those who don't know what Thriller, a picture, or they One Eye is, it's basically Christina Lindbergh.
Oh yeah, we should probably
She winds up she winds up ending up being a prostitute, you know, because she's destitute, she's looking for money, and some guy's like, oh, you want to be a model, you want to be, I can make you I can make you famous, you know, thing.
he was sweet
And
talking, like
he really
yeah,
did. Yeah.
like he already had like a traumatic experience to begin with, and so
Yeah.
and that kind of um that her like, oh, someone's paying attention to me in like a more of a positive way, kind of really got like you can tell that she kind of got preyed upon, you
And
know.
she's a country, and the other thing that they're working off of is the fact that she's a country girl, so she doesn't know anything about the big city and the
Right,
big city slickers who are gonna come up to you and go, little girl, you want to be famous? I'll
right,
make you famous, you know. And and she kind of falls for it, but the cool thing is that while she's, you know, she's in, she winds up being a prostitute, and while she's being abused, for, you know, for lack of a better term,
right.
um she's taking notes on all the guys that are doing this to her, and she's also taking her money because she has a free day off, believe it or not.
Right,
She
that's what
gets
I'm
like,
talking about. Like he because but he knows, but like she's also addicted to heroin, so it's like your free day off. It's like you're going to have to come back regardless. So it's like
yeah,
so it's like it's not a free day. It's just a day to like go out and but like you're gonna come back to us like no matter what. So
yeah,
but she uses that free day like you mentioned, like we're about to get into it, like very wisely, you know.
yeah, she uses it to train, she really does. She uses it, she uses it to learn how to drive a car, you know, and a race car basically.
Hmm.
um she learns how to defend herself.
With karate or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, some kind of martial art. She learns how to shoot a gun,
With
another way to defend herself in
with
case, you know.
I really like that part of the movie is like her learning the aspects of everything. Like from what I read, like trivia wise, like I don't think she knew, like the real actress didn't know how to drive. So
Right, yeah, yeah, right.
uh,
And then, you know, when she finally gets all the stuff to the point where she can no longer learn anymore, and all her so-called masters are like saying,
mhm,
you know what, we've taken you as far as we can take you. The last thing that she does is she cleans herself up. She goes to like a clinic to get off the heroin, and she disappears from the prostitution life for a while, and then she comes back, and there's a reason they call her One Eye.
yeah, like and that is a story in of its own. Like so she like what she gets punished, and so she gets her eye taken out, and
Yeah,
but the thing is it's a little too real if you know the history behind that scene. Like it's
Yeah.
like I see. I didn't know that until just the other day, um, because I was listening to just by coincidence another podcast did this movie, and I'm like, and they were talking about it. I'm like, no, that's not right. So I had to look it up myself, and like it's been confirmed that the scene in the movie where she loses her eye is actually a corpse of a young woman who killed herself. And I'm like, no, and it's like no wonder that scene looked real. It looked
Yeah. That that's really the thing about this movie is, I mean, I remember all the gory stuff like this, from my youth. Like I said, I used to watch a bunch of weird stuff. Like I was all into Italian horror when I was a teenager, so I was watching like Mario Bava, Leo Bava, Darko stuff. So, they were always a little more graphic. So I got to see what they call her One Eye like late night, and I was just kind of like, okay, wow, Christina Lindbergh is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and that's the thing. They take one eye away from her and put a patch on her, and she's still a beautiful, beautiful woman. It takes
right.
nothing away from her looks.
And I like how
You
she like
know, it's
like
this movie that was an inspiration for Daryl Hannah's character in Kill Bill.
right. Um so that's when I first knew about this one, is because of that. And I just it like um let's just say that like after like we've known each other for a long
Quite a few,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. So um but that like here in these last like 10 years or so, that's when really like my love for movies have really grown. I mean, I always loved movies, there's like no doubt about it, but like when I really started diving deep into Italian horror, and like because of you, and kind of really like
Expanding your horizon.
right, because like that's all I would watch was like the Steven Spielberg movies, and like of course like, and that's where I mean Clerks, like that's always been my favorite movie all the time. But then it's like, oh, there's more than just independent movies out there, like in different countries and everything like that. So it's so it just never really dawned on me to branch out until much later in my movie watching career, and so it's like, well, I'm kind of taking all these aspects of like that's why like I'm so happy I'm subscribed to like so many streaming services, because they have sometimes you have those hidden gems in there sometimes, and with Vinegar Syndrome and
Right.
and the boutique labels, I can branch out.
Vinegar syndrome has really been on top of their game, to be honest. I mean, they've you quite a few gems from Thriller, aka they call her One Eye. This was one that I watched a lot, but another one that I watched a lot. I remember this was like one of the first things I got from Vinegar, and I had to get it when I saw that they were putting this out, and it's kind of along the same lines as a Cruel Picture.
Mhm.
Yeah, Cruel Picture, or they call her One Eye, and that is the Angel box set. So in this, it's there's three movies in here. There's actually four movies, but in real life, but they didn't put the fourth one in here because it's just so bad.
Oh, so we're just gonna put the good ones in there.
So
So
Donna Wilkes plays Molly, a high school student by day, prostitute by night. You know, and she, at night she hangs out with all these street people, and one of them is LQ Jones. And LQ Jones, if you don't know who he is, he's been around forever. I mean, he's done westerns like back in the 50s.
oh
And I have the Angel in 3-pack, but that box set looks way cooler. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. Yeah, this one opens up, and it's so you got trying to remember. No, it's just the one side. So you got that on that side.
Is that
And
like a hard case?
yeah, it's a hard box. Yeah.
Cool.
And so one of her street friends gets murdered, and she find out who did it, and the cops aren't doing anything, and so she basically goes out for revenge. And that's just the first movie, and then there's the second and the third one, and they're all really well done. But the funny thing is every time they came back with another movie, a different actress played the character, same exact character.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, it's Donna Wilkes, Betsy Russell, and Mitzi Capture.
That's funny.
The third one.
I
So
like that.
if you can find these, they're worth checking out. At least the first two. I had both posters for the first two back when I was growing up in my room. Full one sheets.
I didn't have very many posters. I had, of course, which one? I had mainly, well, I was in, I'm like Echo knows this. I'm in an Echo, and where I'm big into wrestling. I think I had like Mickey James, Corey Wilson, and other people on my walls. I didn't really have movie posters on my walls.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with having Mickey James or Corey Wilson or even Trish Stratus on your wall. I mean, yes, I
think Lita was in there too.
Yeah, but no, there was a video place that was just down the street from me, a couple blocks down, called Opening Night Video, and you go in there. Yeah, and Miss 45 was another awesome one. That was put out by Draft House. I have a copy of that too. But Opening Night Video, you'd go in there and they'd have all these posters on the walls, that stuff that's coming out or stuff that came out, and you go in there and you go, okay, I want that Avenging Angel poster, which is the second movie. And they're like, okay, well, go over and put a bid on it. So you'd go over and you'd take a pencil and you'd write on the back of it how much you're willing to pay for it. It's like, okay, I'll pay $3 for this. And then by the time that they're ready to take out all the other old posters, if you win the bid, you pay them the $3 and they give you the poster. But someone else can come in like sometime after that and say, "Oh, I'm going to pay $3.50." But that's how I got a lot of my posters. I had the TCM Breakfast Club edition movie, TCM 2. So if you look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the one of the posters has them sitting in the exact same positions as the characters from the Breakfast Club.
Oh, you have that? Oh, you have that one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that poster a lot. When have I told you about Spotlight Video? Yeah. It's like, okay, so I always forget to mention that this place was huge. I mean, it was like I think it was an old grocery store or something like that, and so it was huge, and it had very tall walls and high ceiling. So, and at the very top of it all, it was lined with posters. And
okay.
So when the store went out of business and I was out of town, I just like, that was one of the things I always mention, like, oh, I should have brought this VHS or this VHS, but like I wish I was there for the posters as well, because they were like old school, like old school, like 30 by 36 posters. So like, that the dimension. So they were like huge posters, and I'm like, oh man, like I wish I had those. Like those were like, some of them were just so beautiful, and like, oh man.
Yeah, all the ones that they had at opening night were 27 by 41, but they were just real one sheets. They weren't the ones that you got in later, like at Hollywood Video or Blockbuster, where it's like it looked like a one sheet, and at the very bottom would say, coming to VHS or coming to Blu-ray, or what. These were the ones that were just like the ones that were in the theater.
Yeah.
It's like, what opening night video, what it was before it was opening night video, was Waterbed Warehouse. It was a waterbed store. You could go there and buy in Waterbed Warehouse. I'm not sure if it was a national company, but it was big in Washington State. I mean,
oh, that's just funny. Like we had we had like 3 video rental places like within walking distance in Sullivan, and because that's where I lived, we had to travel out of town to rent movies, so it was like, at least when I lived in that particular town. And so it was like, okay, well, we got Spotlight, Trend, and then we had the bigger like movie gallery, and then it was went to movie gallery, the family video, and so it was just like, or something like that. And but I always chose Spotlight because they always had the better selection of older movies.
So where I lived, it was opening night, and then there was a second store that was just up the road from them. Well, not just up the road. It was a little bit farther away, but it was opening night too. They were both owned by the same company, are the same people. Opening night 2 was basically, whereas opening night video was a Waterbed Warehouse, a nice store. Opening night 2 was one of those closets you see in like a strip mall.
Okay.
And so it wasn't quite as big. And so their selection of horror was smaller. And then actually just up the road, if you just like took like a 5-minute walk just up the road from my house, there was a grocery store that would rent videos. And you'd go in there, and that was so weird. You'd go in there and you would you'd find the video that you wanted, and it'd have a tag velcroed on it with like whatever, with whatever number. So they just leave the case out there, and you'd tear the tag off. Yep. You'd hand it to them, and they'd go behind the counter, and they'd grab it, and that way, if someone says, "Oh, I want to watch Lucio Fulci Zombie," if the tag is missing, they can't watch it. But it's there to let people know that, they do have a copy of Fulci Zombie. They just don't have it it's being rented right now.
Yeah, that's how they did it at Spotlight. They just had the actual box in front, and then the VHS behind it, or no.
Yeah.
No, you would bring the actual box up there, and then they would just take, and then they're like, oh, and then they would just put the
So something I talked about in the past. One of the places we would go to, but you had to drive to this place. It was called Warehouse. And Warehouse became, at one point, Warehouse, Sam Goody, and a bunch of other things all merged. From what I understand, Sean C. Phillips, Cool Duder, has been into a Warehouse video about 2 or 3 years ago. So they're still around. But the one that we went to, it hasn't been around for a long time. But here's the thing. Back in the early days of renting videos, you had to put a deposit down.
Oh. Yeah. I think my dad has told me stories about that.
Yeah. So if you rented 1 or 2 movies, say you rented 2 movies, back in the day, VHS and Beta were not cheap to replace.
So
yeah, go ahead.
That reminds me. So we did this project in school, okay, and it was for entrepreneur class, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a video rental place called Bootlegger Video, and so my video, like I chose to do, we had to do a commercial with it, So I had my friends sit in front of my television with Star Wars playing and talking throughout the movie, so it looked like it was a bootleg video and everything. But but yeah, some of the details and stuff like, well, we have hired specialists on hand, so if you are to have late fees, we are to go find you and retrieve the movie from you due to the low or whatever. How do I put it? Like you were saying, like they weren't cheap,
Yeah,
like they
the high cost of replacing them.
yeah, exactly. Like
Right.
the nostalgia-ness of it all. It's like, and so it's like, yeah, we will just come find you and just take the movie back and with something a little extra. And everyone's like, oh, we're not written there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'd go there and you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna rent like 2 or 3 movies. So you'd have to put down like somewhere between $150, $300 deposit
Oh,
because the movies at the time were, yeah,
they're
exactly.
like,
They're like $80 to $100 to replace.
right. Like my dad was telling me that's why he's like, we're just started recording stuff on television. Like
Yeah, we did
they
the same
start
thing.
they just started hijacking the VHS tapes and like putting that little piece of tape in the little
Oh,
square.
we didn't do that. We didn't do
Yeah.
that. I did that. I did that with cassettes, you know.
Yeah.
Um, well, actually, no. I mean, I'd only do it with cassette tapes if I wanted to. If I didn't have a tape and I wanted to record something, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I don't have a cassette, so I know, I just find some like cheapo, the hotels or whatever, and just put the tape over the top and record over the hotels and whatever. But no, no, we never did the dubbing thing. We would record just right off of cable. It's like, oh, I want to watch First Blood, or I want to watch The Thing,
Oh,
and just record it.
my dad had those kind of best tapes ever because like on that's how I watched Predator for the first time. That was my first rated R movie. Was
Oh
Predator,
wow.
and it was just like he had Predator, something else. Like it was like, man, what a lineup all on one tape. I'm like you just let this whole tape play and be a great triple feature day or maybe double depending on and it would have the old HBO logo and everything at the beginning.
I
Start
missed
up.
that logo. The logo, and it was directed by Spielberg, right?
Oh
Do you remember the logo where they would bring you down through the town and
yes,
into
I
the
do.
theater? That was Spielberg.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was directed by Spielberg. Then it would go into the theater, and then the HBO label would spin up. Yeah,
yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to watch that later. But just to catch up on some of the comments from Echo. I didn't have Hollywood Video around here. That
I
was
didn't
the
have Hollywood Video until like yeah, it was like around the '90s. And like by the time I found Hollywood Video, um, they were
even
ramping down.
even Blockbuster was not. I there was like one Blockbuster. I did have a Blockbuster membership there, but I never went there. But I always chose Movie Gallery. Um,
So here's the funny thing: is like, so when I moved where I am now, we had two Blockbusters, and they're in the town that I visit every weekend, right?
are you uh,
Which is 17 miles away.
are you
So
close
it
to
makes,
the last one?
huh?
Are you close to the last Blockbuster that's there? Right?
No, they're both actually in that town. They're both 17
Oh,
miles away, and they're only like about a mile apart from one another. One now is a, oh, what's it called? O'Reilly Auto Parts, and
okay.
the other one has turned into a Petco. You know, but just going up to the grocery store, it was easier to rent video here
Oh,
at the local grocery store.
yeah. I
You
remember
know,
too. Like, um, I remember seeing those in my grocery store as well as like the little section for video rentals. I
the
think
cool thing was. the cool thing was that this place knew that people liked horror, so there was drama, sci-fi, horror.
That's that's how it was with Spotlight. I mean, obviously they had the new releases and stuff like that, but like that horror section was just like, oh, it was just chef's kiss, kind of like it was like spectacularly awesome, and that's how that's how I found some of the more obscure horror movies. That's how I think that's how I watched Sleepaway Camp for the first time and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But it was just like Blood Beach. That's how I watched that for the first time.
Dude, that's the one movie I want. I want someone to release that movie. I love Blood Beach. I remember watching it like in the theater. I saw when it came on cable for the
Hmm.
first time. And yeah, I want someone to find a copy and release it. And I'm not in bootleg. I don't want a bootleg. I want an official VS Severin. I don't care who does it,
I thought
as
I
long as
thought
it's
they had.
American.
I thought Moods talked about it or somebody.
The only country I know that has released Blood Beach is Germany.
Okay, maybe it was just a foreign release.
I mean, I
Ac-
might be wrong. There might be something. He's up in
Actually, no.
Canada, so they might have had a release up there.
Oh, see, okay, that makes sense. He may actually have. I like. You know what? I love the United States, but the United States sucks when it comes to like these cool releases. I'm telling you. Like I see
Oh no,
everybody. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say we do have VS, man. VS does release some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I will. Let's go to shopping, shall we? Blood Beach.
So Echo says, I remember Warehouse. There was one a place called Warehouse once to look for wrestling videos back in the 90s. It's probably the same place. It was a big for Echo. Yeah, it was a what do they call that? It's just a big conglomerate that just, that's not the word I'm looking for, but um he also says, I remember doing the tape thing with the videotapes. I love going to the horror section in the movie stores, and I I love thing. Okay, oh. Yeah, I still love going to the horror section. I
Oh,
swear to God, I'm in as old as I am. I still chills walking into trying to find a horror that I haven't seen,
hmm.
and there's a lot of it. I mean, I've seen a lot in my lifetime, and I'm like, how do I miss this? What version would you recommend as an introduction to this movie? Thriller, A Cruel Picture, or they call her One Way?
Oh,
I
okay.
would
Back to
definitely say go with
the.
no, no, no. That's what Professor Macabro is asking. I would say definitely go with the U.S. version. That way you get a feel for the movie. If you want to see the other version with the porn in it, then just you could watch that later. But I would definitely go with the U.S. version. Call her One Eye.
And from what I understand, like there's a lot of slow mo in the um the Swedish version, and then in the US they kind of speed it up a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a little bit faster paced. but um
yeah.
but but when back to the movie, it's like when
So we,
she
we took a detour. Yeah.
yeah, oh, I loved it. I love talking about movies, really. But when she finally starts, like, I think where we left off is when she was starting to put all of her skills together and go out and start
Right.
taking revenge on
The
her
abusers.
abusers. Yeah, and that first guy, that poor guy, he just opens his door and he gets blown away. I'm
Oh,
just
I know. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing quiet about the way that she took care of him.
right. It's just like it was a sawed off shotgun too. It just like just blows him away right in his front door. I loved it, and um, just in the warehouse, there's a big shootout scene, right? If I do recall correctly,
Yes.
in a warehouse. I'm on Severn right now looking. I haven't been on here in a good long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But yeah, I'm sorry if I'm like looking off screen. That's what I was saying. But yeah, I would definitely, from what I've understood, I would probably go with the U.S. version, the Caller One Eye, just because if you're not used to watching the graphic nature of those scenes of like actual like the ins and outs, like we said earlier.
Well, so from what I understand, so that is not Christina Lindbergh.
Right, that's what I heard as well.
So there was a guy that was traveling around Sweden with his wife or a girlfriend or something like that, and for so much money they would let you film them having sex. And so the director of the movie did this and thought, hey, I will put this into the Swedish version, and he gets up. I mean, the way he films it is he gets way up close and a little too personal.
Right. I think we hinted at this before, like at the beginning of the review. It's like it definitely would, like, if you're gonna be graphic, make it like not as apparent as it is. Like you can have like a wide shot or something. I understand why like it's not having her, so it wouldn't like.
I'm just glad it wasn't her.
Yeah, like it was like knowing that it was people who actually wanted to do it. It makes it a little bit easier to.
You can go the softcore route. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I have nothing wrong with nudity. I have nothing wrong with sex in movies.
Same.
But when you as a collector, me as a collector, when we're sitting there, we're going, hey, you know what? I got this movie. You want to check it out? You're definitely not going to say, hey, you want to check out the Euro version? You're good. You're just going to grab the US version. So, because there's a lot of people are going to go, what kind of freak are you? Oh yeah, I'm a freak. I'll let my freak flag fly, but I'm not a freak.
Like I'll read this version in private. Like that'll be the version I watch primarily.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I'm going to show it off to friends, it, like you said, I'm going to show off the version that won't have an awkward moment where we're just quiet, not with each other,
And I'm trying to think of Professor. When it comes to Professor Macabro, I don't know if honestly, dude, I don't know if you have a family in your house or whatever, but if someone walks into the room while you're watching this, it's so much easier to go, yeah, I'm just watching a movie about vengeance rather than going, yeah, this just popped up for the last 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. And it kind of goes on a little too long and it was like we mentioned, like neither one of us knew what was going down. Like, oh, that was graphic. Like, oh wow, that's that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I understand the mechanics of sex. I don't really need someone to show me all on,
I have a kid. I understand this, but yeah, it's just, but yeah, and the whole the movie itself is really good, and you didn't need that because the movie is really really good. Like I want you. How is the Blu-ray transfer for you? Did it look really good? Blu-ray?
It looked. I watched it on the new TV, so it looked awesome.
Okay.
It really did. I think if I remember right, there's just a tiny bit of video noise, in like the really when it gets into the really really dark shadows, you can see a little bit.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it looks awesome.
Like you have the Blu-ray, I have the 4K, so we've actually have
4K.
We both have experienced it both in different transfers and everything. I think it looks like it looks amazing in 4K. Like it looks really really good.
So here are the what the discs look like. We've shown the covers more than enough.
So Oh yeah. So yeah,
This is
here's
yeah.
the
So the close up of her with the patch in the leather jacket, and that's not showing the anything else. So this one right here, this is the American version. This is they call her One Eye.
yeah.
The one I'm moving with my hand. But there's a lot of stuff on here. I haven't even. I've delved into.
I haven't either.
Dude, I watched an interview with Christina Lindbergh. And that was pretty awesome because you get to see what she looks like now. You know,
I haven't seen what she looks like now.
I was really surprised. She's not as I don't want to say she's not attractive because she's still attractive, but she's put on weight. She's got wrinkles. I mean, we're talking about a movie from the 70s. So
like at least there are some people who just can't handle that and they just go overboard with plastic surgery and everything. Like I can respect someone who just like, I'm just gonna age. I'm not gonna try
that's exactly what happened. She aged.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like you said, I haven't dived deep into the special features. I really want to just to learn more about it. But I think is there commentary? Yes, there is commentary tracks. So I may have to actually hop onto that one day. But anyways, go ahead.
I definitely want to check out the comment. No, I'm with you. I was just gonna agree with you on that. I definitely want to check out the commentary tracks. This was such a good. And here's the thing. So when you get the movie, this is the cover that you get on here. I had to flip mine. I flipped mine to this.
Oh, I haven't even done that yet. I haven't even. Which one do you have up?
I have that one.
That one.
I flipped it. It came when it came. It looked like this. So it's like when you pull it out, you got this, and then you got this on the cover here. But I flipped it to this because I want to see both covers.
So mine automatically had that one, so I didn't flip it. Mine automatically had the one that we both have currently.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about these really cool. That's why, I think Wes is the same way. I think Professor as well. Like that's what makes physical media awesome. It's just like you get to have like a couple different ways of displaying your movies, and I know you're not. You're not too big on slip sleeves, right?
No, I'm not. I will admit that there are times that like Vinegar Syndrome, they'll put out something like this. I couldn't get out of minus without the slipcover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it only came this way, so it's like, okay, well, if it only comes this way,
like I'm also really regretting, I'm like liking this movie so much. I was like, now I'm really regretting not getting that really nice box set when they first had it out.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, that there's no way you were gonna get it. Honestly, that thing sold out like minutes after they put it up.
So I don't feel so bad then.
I definitely, my problem was when they put this out, I was like, oh my God, is there still going to be copies around for when Black Friday comes? I was really worried that like I told you, I've been trying to get this movie for years. And I almost bought I almost said, screw it, Severin's got theirs, and they were having a sale at the time on this because Vinegar Syndrome had just released this, and they're just kind of like, I was just like, I might just get the Severin one, but I'm glad I didn't. I like I said, I've heard so many things about the transfer to that one, But yeah, I will buy a movie. It's like, there's been a few that have had slipcovers on them that I'm like, okay, the slipcover looks really cool. What's one? The one that I thought looked the best. One of the best ones. Okay, yeah, that's really cool. Crocodile and Crocodile 2.
Yeah, that's how I learned it was from you. It was just like that's like it had 2 movies, and they just like, you know what, we'll just utilize both things,
Both sides.
and
Yeah.
the spine and everything. So it's just like that's perfect. Like
But another one I think looks really good. That one's good. I don't know if you have it. Blood Games.
no, I don't have that one.
Blood Games has an awesome looking slipcover.
Which one is that?
Huh?
What site is that one on?
That's VS. That's Vinegar Syndrome.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I just so I can look it up. I'm on the
Yeah.
site.
The I don't really care for the cover itself so much, but I do like the slipcover. I think the slipcover looks awesome.
Well, I like the art for that. I like the back where it's just her holding the bat. Oh, that's really that's nice.
So
Oh,
Miss 45, Professor Macabro, it got a release from Draft House, a few years ago. I have a copy of it. That looks good, but from what I understand, Draft House is not around anymore.
I saw that.
There's a few of these companies that have slipped, like Anchor Bay. I'm surprised Anchor Bay is not around anymore. They were so big in the 90s.
I know, like most of the I see that little boat,
Sailboat?
yeah,
Yeah.
on my edge of my thing, so I can yep, here, this is the closest one I got. It's my Day of the Dead one. Yeah.
So
That little
show me the front of that for a second. Okay, yeah, that's the same exact one I got. That's the one where yep.
yeah.
And it's got the notes. It's got the notes from the doctor inside of it, and
I still got it.
well, there's also a pad. Right?
Oh, yeah, it's a little pad.
Yeah. Yep. I still have mine too.
But yeah, that's the Anchor Bay. I'm like, yeah, I had to look at that because I'm surprised. Yeah, like Anchor Bay was like that's how I got a lot of these movies. That's how they got released, and that's how I got a hold of them.
They got bought up by Stars, and then all of a sudden, it's like,
Right? They just didn't missed opportunities. I'm really liking this. Oh, it's out of stock, but still, I like that cover. It's
Man, I really remember Anchor Bay. I have no idea how many of their tapes I used to have. Yeah, no doubt. Seemed like at one point all my tapes were Anchor Bay. What's cool is if you can find those tins. So have you seen the tins?
Not. I might have.
So they put out. I think they put out like 6 or 7 Anchor Bay tins, for like. So you could get it. There was a Hellraiser one, Evil Dead one. It's either Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. I don't remember. Let's Sleeping Corpses Lie. Right? And these were just really cool tins. And the DVD came in just a jewel case.
Those are actually really nice. Are they like kind of rounded at the top?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at the Hellraiser one. That was the first one. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, wow. I never seen them before.
Did you look at price?
No, not yet. I don't even want to look. Are they expensive? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean they were expensive when they came out. It was so weird. I knew a lot of people that got it. When I first got on YouTube, there was a guy, Dave G Horror, and his room. He basically had one bedroom in his house that didn't have anything in it except movies, and it's like walking into a video store, and it was just like he had all these really cool, like you were saying earlier, there are some countries that get like really cool releases as compared to the US, but it'd be like the Mission Impossible, TV series, that look like a little bomb,
Oh, that's cool.
or the Blade Runner briefcase, or the Scooby Doo one. That's the one I always wanted. He had a Scooby Doo's Mystery Machine, and it had the first 3 years of Where Are You, Scooby Doo? The very first seasons of Scooby Doo on it in it. I always
Oh,
wanted that. They re-released it, but it looks like crap. I didn't want the re-release. I wanted the original version.
I understand that.
I still want the release of the Keep, dude. If you know someone that's going to release that, if you know someone that works for someplace that the Keep needs to be released.
What's it
The
about?
Keep. Oh, Professor. It's been a long time. I don't even think I've seen it in like 20 years. That's how long it's been since I've seen it. But I do remember it. It has Adrian Zemed in it, if I remember right, who was in Grease 2 and TJ Hooker. I think at one point, what's their name? I can't believe I'm blanking on it. Scream Factory was supposed to put it out. I don't know if they ever did. But yeah.
No, I recognize the poster. I haven't seen
Exactly. It's just the words "the Keep" and someone running from it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that looks. Oh, yep. Now I know it. Just I haven't seen it, but I know the poster well. I think because back to Spotlight, it's one of those like ones that always stood out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Keep, Blood Beach. Blood Beach is another, like we said earlier. There's a lot of movies that.
That's a good book.
Maybe it's because of the WW2 thing that's keeping the Keep from releasing, but it's about a monster that's killing German, killing, isn't it? Okay, well, you know what? They did the Prowler. I mean, they've released the Prowler. I don't think the world, and
Oh, okay. There's only a German. See, Germany gets a lot a lot of good releases too. It's just like, what was it? Have you ever watched the Films at Home YouTube channel?
probably there's so many YouTube channels I watch.
He just he's doing comparisons of the 4K Texas Chainsaw Massacre versions, and just like, oh man, like I rather have the German one just because of the artwork and everything. Like I like.
Which one? Because I mean, there's a few German ones that it's like I've seen this.
I think it was the more recent one for them.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It wasn't one of the older. It's one of the newer transfers for that film. So
because there's a German release from like about 8 years ago that had like really cool artwork on it, and so I know it wasn't a 4K, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, I'm trying to think what other movie even like when it comes to books, like I'm a big reader. The UK editions and of like Stephen King books. I'm like, oh man, that looks so much better than the one I have. I'm like, man, like I don't want to spend the money to ship it over here.
Yeah, no. Well, I was telling you like not too long ago that I have a Swedish version of Cannibal Ferox.
Right. Yeah.
And because I don't have a region-free player, I can't watch it. It's a DVD. It's not a Blu-ray. So,
go ahead. Sorry, I just
no, go ahead.
Did you see that they left out the director of Cannibal Holocaust in the memorandum of?
Oh, Rogerio Deodato.
Yeah, they left him out.
Oh, dude, they left out so many people.
Yeah, I was just like they were. I just happened to see that like yesterday or whatever. It's like, oh man, like I can't believe like how like out of touch that place is. Like they just don't.
See, here's the other thing. They'll and that was the only part of the Oscars that I watched was in the memoriam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love Lenny Kravitz. Don't get me wrong. I think Lenny Kravitz is an awesome artist, an awesome singer. But when I turn on to watch the memoriam, and they do this every year, they're like, and tonight we're gonna have Bette Midler, or we're gonna have Celine Dion, or we're gonna have Lenny Kravitz sing, this song. Well, then they focus on the singer, and I'm there to see who we lost. And they did
Right.
it like 3 or 4 times with Lenny Kravitz, and I'm like, dude, show us what's on the screen. And then they say, well, we don't have time to show you everybody. If you would stop focusing on Lenny Kravitz, because
Or
everybody knows who Lenny Kravitz is.
these like little jokes that they do in the audience and stuff like that. It's just
Oh God. I
like
want the Oscars to go back to being the Oscars and not the variety show that everyone wants it to be.
right. Like I just like I watched a little bit of it and like whatever I watched was kind of I hate to use this term, but it was kind of cringe. You know, it was just like it was rough. It was like Jimmy Kimmel. He can be really really funny, but
Really? I've yet to hear him say anything that's funny.
oh really?
Anything. Yeah.
I like his feud with Matt Damon. I think that's what makes me like him. It's just something so ridiculously stupid, but it's just like, but he was in the aisle interviewing the lady who like she was a very like she it's like I can't remember what she did, but she was whatever she stood for was very important, and he kind of like asked this ridiculous question, and then she came back with the best answer ever, and kind of like I think it didn't quite like he wasn't ready for it, and I'm like, good for her, good
Yeah.
for her, and then there's like little shenanigans like that. I'm like no, I like you're here to celebrate actors and everybody, and
And here's the thing. That whole thing, I mean, it might not that whole thing wasn't set up, but that joke of his, that question was already written for him,
yeah, because
you know?
I noticed it was already pre-typed and everything on the card and everything because he accidentally flashed it to the camera or whatever. It was just like,
All the jokes we do are all written ahead of time. So they've gone over all. It's basically a script,
mm-hmm.
you know. I agree, Professor. I didn't see them. I thought it was cool. Fraser, Brendan Fraser, Michelle Yeoh. You know what? You're gonna hate me, Professor, but I really didn't see anything special about Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in Everywhere, Everything, All at Once.
I've yet to see it.
I I got it during Black Friday. I bought it like for next to nothing. I took it because I heard a lot of people talk about how cool it was. Took it home, watched it, and it was meh. It was just okay. So here's an idea,
Like the movie itself
and
or her
yeah,
performance.
the movie itself, I
Okay.
mean, Michelle Yeoh's character is kind of a overbearing bitch of a wife, and her husband, I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name, Huy Quan, um, but he's the kid that played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it's like his character is kind of a beaten down husband, he just kind of like takes it. And James Wong is in this, who, holy crap, that was the biggest surprise of the entire thing. Finding out that James Wong, or James, oh, the guy that played the father. I'm like, is it Wong or Hong? And but he's 91 years old. This guy was making movies from the time he was 25 years old to now, and he was in a movie with Bruce Lee, dude. I mean, this guy has such a long resume, and
this is one who plays Lopan, right? And
yeah,
okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's how I knew. That's how I got introduced to him is through Big Trouble in Little China. Was that was his performance of Lopan.
He was in Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and Chuck Norris is in that. He has the scenes with Chuck Norris before anybody knew who Chuck Norris was.
It's that movie with
Yeah,
where. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I
Where
didn't.
Bruce Lee goes to Rome and you
Yeah, and
know,
fights Chuck Norris at the and kills him and
at the
whatever.
Coliseum. Yeah,
Yeah, but
but I mean, I honestly didn't see. I didn't see what everyone was raving about when it comes to Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like, okay, yeah, there's probably a lot of movies that she should have won Oscar for, but this was not one of them. Her career was just middle of the road.
yeah,
You know?
like I really want. I really want to see it just because I heard it's a pretty decent movie, and I like to see at least all the nominated movies just because that's just the movie guy in me. Uh,
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I wanted to see it because the same exact reason. When I picked it up at Black Friday, I was like, okay, I've heard so many good things about this that I want to
oh,
see it. And then when I watched it, I was just kind of like, eh. And all the whole movie takes, it's all about Michelle Yeoh and taking on people from a multiverse. That a multiverse exists, you know, and who the bad person. I'm not gonna ruin anything for you, but they find out that they can take on certain abilities from different. So you in this version, you in this world would
mhm.
find out that there's another world where you exist, but in that world you can play Chopin on the piano,
Okay,
right? Well, you find out that you can take that ability and use it for yourself, but you have to do something to you might have to break your pinky finger on your left hand
okay,
in order for that ability to come out. And it was stuff like that. And it's just kind of like it's it's okay, you know. I own it now, and I'll probably watch it again somewhere down the road, but I'm not dying to put it back in.
I got you. Um, yeah. I was looking at who else was nominated, and I
Angela Bass Angela Bassett was nominated for Wakanda Forever. I know that.
yeah, yeah, and Hung Chao I think I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her last name wrong. From The Whale, Carrie Condon from The Banshees. Banshee of Isharon. I'm looking forward to finally watching that movie. I heard really good on that one. And then Stephanie Hizu. Um, a lot of people. So which sucks is that like I understand the performance and everything, but it's like two people being nominated from the same movie. That's rough. Like it should be a different movie, an actress from a different movie. It
Yeah.
makes it makes it.
No, I get what you're saying. One thing that's always bothered me is, and I don't know if it happened this year because I did not watch the entire. I just watched the In Memoriam, right?
Mhm.
Um, but it seems like every year there's a movie that's nominated for Best Picture. And there's like, oh, okay, well, for Best Picture we have this, but then you look up and you go, well, how can the movie be Best Picture if no one? I mean, there's always like one movie where like they don't get like Best Director or Best Writer or Best, I know for a fact that there was one like a year or two ago where the director wasn't nominated. I'm like, how is he not getting a nomination? I'm not saying he needs an award, but how are you not getting nominated if the movie is the best movie?
Right. So I was looking at this year's best pictures and our nominees, and I'm like, I think it should have went honestly to Top Gun. I have not seen it yet, but the only reason why
So
is
so give me the nominees, because honestly, I don't know. I don't know all of them.
okay.
You know.
So, everywhere or everything, everywhere, all at once. That's the winner.
Yeah.
Then you got All Quiet on the Western Front, which I started. I haven't finished it yet. Avatar 2, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, which I really liked. The Fablemans, which I heard that was really good. Tar, I have no interest in that movie. Um, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, I've never heard of that one. And Women Talking, I heard of that one, but I haven't seen any trailers for it though.
So I saw part of the Elvis movie, and I mean, I understand that some people like it, and you said yourself you like it. Um,
I think
I
like we were talking off camera before we started. It was music. Like it's not so much the story of Elvis that I liked about it. It was just I liked Elvis's music and I liked hearing it in the movie and I did like
I I'll give you that, but the guy that played Elvis looks nothing like Elvis. Um, that you know, and and I was I don't know. I thought it lacked. I really for Elvis Presley, because Elvis Presley got shoved into a contract with Colonel Tom Parker, and Colonel Tom Parker was a douchebag. He took over Elvis's life and said, "Look, you're going to do 33 movies. They're all going to be exactly the same movie,
yeah
with the exception of Love Me Tender and the last one he did. You know, but they're all going to be pretty much the exact same movie. You know, you play a race car driver, you play this guy, you play this guy, you get the girl. Movie's over. You know." And Elvis never stood up to him. Elvis never stood up to him. He just let this guy run his life. And that's the movie you don't see. And I want to see the movie where, I mean, where Deeps goes more into that. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like the Queen movie when the movie about Freddie Mercury came out. There were so many inconsistencies and things that were wrong with that movie.
yeah I like I was that nominated for Best
Yeah,
Picture?
yeah. Remy Malek was nominated for uh,
So like I like yeah I was really hoping that wouldn't have won. I'm going back to the last few years. Um,
What's up, Ice Lord? How you doing, brother?
okay, so going back a little bit. See, like there's one that I'm trying to find what year the um, Shape of Water won. I was trying to figure out what other um,
That
movies.
was what 2012.
Man, my hand. I'm back at the 91st Academy Awards, so it's been at least Green Book. So nope. Okay. Oh, well, okay. Bohemian Rhapsody. That was. We'll talk about this one real quick. You get Green Book, Black Panther. I think Black Klansman should have won. I think
So,
that was the movie that
so the
won.
Shape of Water came out in 2017. Shape of Water came out in 2017.
2020. Okay, so I gotta go
So
back.
you'd have to go
Wait.
back to the 28.
One more. Oh, here it is. Found it. Yeah. Okay. So. Oh. Okay. Well, I think it was, that one was kind of tough because Shape of Water. You got Call Me by Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk. I haven't yet to see that, but I hope to.
Dunkirk sucked. I don't care what anyone says about Christopher Nolan. He's a shitty director.
I like. Um, what movie did I had no intention of watching Tenet. That was the one that I like. Like I like Christopher Nolan. enough to where like I'll check out his movies, but that one was just like, nope, I have no interest in that movie whatsoever. It wasn't because of any of the actors or anything like that. It was just like it didn't look good at all. It just looked boring.
No, it's so funny because the only movies, the only movies I like by Christopher Nolan are the I movies.
Which ones?
Insomnia,
Oh, I like it.
Inception, and Interstellar. Everything else, I think Dunkirk was just garbage, man. Mainly because you don't know what's going on any time of the movie. At one point, they're in an airplane and it's dark outside, and they show him like flying over and getting ready to shoot at something. And when they show the beach, it's bright outside. It's like he's got no idea of how to phrase to phrase it. It doesn't work for me. I didn't like the Batman movies. I mean, I liked Batman Begins, but that's just because it had Scarecrow in it, and Scarecrow had never been in a live action movie at the time.
Yeah, I think that one, as much as I like Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, like it's a solid trilogy, but like I wish it would have kept it a little bit more like the first movie, like because I like Scarecrow. Scarecrow has always been a pretty cool villain because it seems like.
And the only reason that Heath Ledger won an Oscar is because he was a junkie and he died. You know.
What year was that? No, I'm sorry. No, I knew he won. I'm not acting like I'm confused. Like, oh, he won. Like, I'm like, what year was that? I'm like, I wanted to see who he was up against.
Oh, just type in The Dark Knight, and that'll give you the year that can go 1 year ahead. You know.
Right. I'm just.
But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't impressed with The Dark Knight. I thought that Heath Ledger's version of the Joker was stupid. There's nothing like you see in the comic books. Nothing like you see in the cartoons. You know, growing up being a Batman fan, it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna throw grease paint on him and make him look like a thug, and that's all he was.
Which is it? Which one? Speaking of which incarnation of the Joker is your Joker?
Actually, I think Jack Nicholson was pretty damn close. You know, you take a little bit of Jack Nicholson and you take a little bit of Cesar Romero from the TV show, who is like way over the top, you know, and you have the perfect Joker.
Yeah, that's always been Michael Keaton has always been my Batman and will always be my Batman.
I didn't mind Ben Affleck as Batman. That's the other thing that I hated about the Christopher Nolan ones is that Batman in the comics and in the cartoons, Batman's got the muscle beach body. He's built.
He's gonna be playing some volleyball with Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, he's built. So, and then you hear, oh well, Christopher Nolan has picked up Christian Bale to play Batman, and it's like, dude, there is nothing menacing, nothing threatening about this guy. You know, I don't look at him and go, okay, you know, Batman chose the symbol of a bat to put fear into the heart of strangers. You know, but when you got the body to back it up, you're like, okay, I can see that. But when you look like Christian Bale, who you can throw around the room, you know, like a mop, I don't see it. Of course, I am doing nothing but just pissing off all the people watching right now.
Oh no, you're good. What year did it come out?
I don't know.
Oh, found it.
It had to be.
So he was going up against Heath Ledger was also going up against Josh Brolin from Milk. I really loved that movie. I liked that movie a lot. about with Sean Penn. I'm not
Okay.
even big. I'm not even a big
Harvey
Sean.
Milk. Yeah.
And I like Sean Penn in that movie.
The funny thing about Sean Penn is that Sean Penn disappears for the longest time, and then when he shows up in a movie, he puts stuff out like Milk, Mystic River.
Right.
What's the one with Ben Stiller? The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. He
Yes,
winds
I
up
really like.
putting this stuff out, and then you're going, "Where the hell has he been?"
Licorice Pizza, the other day, and like he shows
Mm-hmm.
up in it. I'm like, wait a minute, like Sean Penn's in this movie, like holy, like I didn't see his name in the credits or anything like that. So I was just like, what's Sean Penn doing? And he's playing like an actor who's like very like me, and it's just like I'm like
Yeah.
it's like I haven't seen him acted like that in a while, but like it's just
Okay, so
seeing
he's
him.
gonna. So Heath Ledger's going up against Heath Ledger, and it's
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin
I'm gonna say one for last. Michael Shannon,
for
Philip Seymour Hoffman, and
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder.
Ugh. I'm with you. I think Josh Brolin should have won that for Milk.
Yep. I think him playing the person who kills Harvey Milk. I thought that was really. I mean, as much as I like to have Robert Downey Jr. because like he was really good in that role, but I wanted more of a performance in my acting, and that's Josh Brolin to me was really good at it. So, but yeah.
No, it's just kind of funny. It's like there's just so many.
Oh, wait, since we're on the Oscar topic, what is the one movie that shouldn't have won that one that you think? I'm loving this.
Oh, the movie that shouldn't have won.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this out to the chat too. What movie do you think? Yeah, that's what Professor agrees with you. He just won because he passed away, and I kind of agree with that too. Like I liked him as the Joker,
the part that bugs me is the fact that he didn't just pass away. He didn't just wake up dead one morning. He drugs. And that's the part that people seem to overlook. And it's like, okay, so let's celebrate a junkie. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people have slapped him in the face, but I'm like, no one gave John Belushi a freaking Oscar. When he did Speedballs and died, and he did a really cool movie called Continental Divide. No one gave Chris Farley.
I think John Candy should have gotten one over those two for sure. Like he's given some like really great performances.
Great Outdoors, dude. I mean, my God.
I'm trying to think of. I just watched one with him, or even with in Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Never could get into that movie.
Oh, really?
I know a lot of people like it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I just kind of like walked out of there going, okay, I guess. I just wasn't.
I'm a big Steve Martin fan, so it's probably why I'm a little biased towards that one. But like, I like Steve.
It took me forever to get back into Steve Martin because I like Steve Martin. So when The Jerk came out, I was in junior high, and I thought it was the coolest movie ever. And then like every movie he made after that, he kind of was still doing the whole jerk style acting, right? And then he did what was it? He did a movie like not long, like a few years, like 10 years after that's all of a sudden he's actually acting. I'm like, okay, I could start watching Steve Martin again. And just
I liked him in Parenthood and Father of the Bride and stuff like that, right? He's in
Father of the Bride. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the question I was asking you. What movie? This also goes out to the chat. Like, which Oscar-winning movie should won that shouldn't have won? I got them all brought up here. I'm gonna have to. Man, like there's some good ones, but
So for Best Picture, this one really gets me because for Best Picture, it's like it was 1994. I went back a long ways.
okay. Oh, okay.
It was Forrest Gump, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Quiz Show, Shawshank Redemption,
Forrest Gump 95.
And Pulp Fiction. Right. But they were the 94 nominees. These were all the movies.
Yeah. Schindler's List won for 94.
But anyway. Shawshank, yeah. But the list for Best Picture was Forrest Gump, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, Quiz Show, and Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
And honestly, I don't think Shawshank should have ever been nominated. I know a lot of people love it. I sound like the biggest dick right now because I'm just crapping on everybody's favorite movies.
No. I Shawshank. I think that's a really well-rounded movie, but Oscar worthy. I agree with you.
Quiz. I think it's boring. Quiz Show is definitely up there. Four Weddings. It was funny, but I honestly feel Pulp Fiction should have won. I really do. It is a favorite of mine.
Oh, same.
But I mean, it's like Forrest Gump, Quiz Show, Pulp Fiction. I can understand the problem of trying to pick that winner between those three, But Quiz Show was so interesting. It's all about the
cheating scandal, right?
The cheating scandal of the 1950s.
I watched that for the first time a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh wow, this is like really good. Like, and then they at the very end they messed it. Like they asking questions that weren't.
Yeah. Well, they weren't giving him the
answers, but
they just wanted him off because he was bleeding them, man. I mean, it's like, oh my God, can he not win? It's like he was at the time the Ken Jennings, if you watch Jeopardy.
I agree with you, Echo, or no, Professor. Sorry. I don't like it. I don't, as much as I like Steve Martin, I don't like the Pink Panther movies. I don't like them at all. They're if he played a little more, I think he was trying to be more like what's his name? Peter Sellers, right? That's who plays him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was just trying to be too much like him and not make it like his own and everything. I think he like Steve Martin. He could make something his own and make it fresh, but like that was just like it just wasn't good.
Here's the thing: when it comes to Steve Martin, it's like if he's doing comedy, right? Because he's done some really bad comedies. The one with him and Queen Latifah, that was just freaking awful.
Bringing down the house.
Yeah,
my mom loves that.
But here's the thing: it's like if he does a comedy, if he just does a comedy for its comedic taste, he can do it right. Like honestly, Father of the Bride is not Steve Martin being Steve Martin. Father of the Bride is Steve Martin actually putting in a performance, like you were saying.
I agree.
But it's funny because he gets to work with Martin Short and he gets to work with all these people that help. What's the word? Help bring out the performance. Whereas if you're watching, and I can get where you're watching the Pink Panther movies, and they suck because he is trying way too hard to emulate the late Peter Sellers and not make it his own.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, okay. So honestly, Professor, I say give a Father of the Bride a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're gonna watch any one of his movies, you know that it's a real true performance. Father of the Bride. It's Simple Twist of Fate's another one.
Um, his answer to the question was, I totally forgot about that one. Shakespeare in Love won over Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah.
Like, so like my answer is Crash. I think that's kind of the obvious one, but
No, okay.
because I really, really I like Brokeback Mountain. Wasn't that ever? I understand why a lot of people were making fun of that movie, but like, and just didn't like it. Like, I liked it because I like the performances in this movie. Heath Ledger can actually act, you know. But I think Capote should have won because I liked Philip Seymour Hoffman and I liked that story of In Cold Blood and everything. I thought that was, I think because he won Best Actor that year, but I think that was the better movie. Also, he had Good Night and Good Luck and Munich, and so
I never saw Munich, and Good Night and Good Luck was just. I don't even think it should have been nominated. It's just one of those things, you know.
yeah,
I think I'd agree with you on that. When you think about it, it's like Brokeback Mountain, Crash was pretty good, but the problem with Crash is that like after Crash came out, it seems like every year they had to nominate a. It's like after that they were like, okay, let's start nominating movies that have controversial undertones.
right.
You know,
Well, the very next year, The Departed won. but I'm trying like nominating who got nominated. Babel. Oh yeah. Iwo So, yeah. So
okay,
yeah.
I would have taken Iwo Jima over Babel or over The Departed.
Oh really? I haven't seen. No, yes I have. Yes I have. I've seen it.
Because
I
Iwo
think
Jima's it's about the six guys that raised the flag on Mount Suribachi, you know, and how they dealt with it after people found out who they were. You
I
know, that
um
the good
I
Crash movie is the Cronenberg one.
yeah I
That
got that one.
no, that's
That's a,
that is a good movie.
um I would have picked Little Miss Sunshine for me. I like that movie a lot.
Oh God.
I know I probably lost some points. Yeah.
No,
but
you didn't lose points, but I sat through that movie one time and I was like, okay, I'm glad it's over. You know, I just there was nothing about that movie that made I want a movie if I want to watch that kind of movie where they're trying to make it all happy and sunshiny and everything. Give me something that's redeemable with the family. And I didn't feel that there was anything in that family that I liked.
so you're probably on
You
the same.
know, didn't just
Uh, my
yeah.
dad probably with you on that one. He didn't really like that movie either, from what I remember. But
Why that
yeah.
girl didn't just torture family in the van is beyond me. That's the way that movie should have ended.
Oh, that'd been great. Just the van catching fire at the event and everything with the grandpa in it, just like
all,
just
all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're ready to go. And Little Miss Sunshine goes, oh, I got to go. I'll be back in just 1 second. And just lights the van on fire.
just like yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Because I hated that family. Feel the same way about Juno. People love that, but I could not get into it.
I like
I
Juno's
like Juno
for like one or two viewings at the most. It has to be some years between the viewings, just because of the dialogue. I think I can't handle.
Yeah.
I could handle the dialogue when it first came out, but after like growing up and everything, I'm like I can't listen to people talk like that.
Well,
That's
it's funny because yeah, you listen to it back then, and you're like, okay, so they're using all this different kind of slang or whatever, and even though that movie does have one of the best lines ever written,
oh,
you
that's
know.
that's one extra sketch you can't undo.
No, the one I like that one, but she says, or he goes, you left your you left your shirt or something like that at my place, and she goes, you left your baby in my underpants or something, and something to
Oh,
that fact, and I'm like, dude, I love that. That was like
that's a very good
that
line.
that that one line just completely tells the story of this movie. I do like J.K. Simmons though. I don't think J.K. Simmons ever does a bad role.
No, I don't think so either. Have you? I don't know. I don't know. Have you watched Whiplash?
Yes.
See, I love him in that movie. Like I'm not big on Miles Teller, but I like him enough to watch a movie with him in it. But I definitely watched it for J.K. Simmons. Like, and he was so good in that movie. Uh, like, did he win
No, and he starts throwing crap at him.
again, again, again?
No. So I mean, honestly, dude, I mean that is one abusive music teacher. There's no way.
Yeah, I haven't watched that movie in a long time, but yeah, like, but I knew like when I was going into it, I knew that he was rough, but then and very like he had things done very particular, but then it was just like, oh wow, like yep, and then and I loved and I liked kind of how he the villain he kind of is a villain. He kind of
Yeah.
won in the end. He put Miles Teller up on stage, and he's like, and he knew what he was doing. He put him in like, yeah. I can't. I'm like
Yeah.
lost for
No,
words
yeah.
just because like he just like he
So
knew.
so let's throw this out to the people out there. Going back to like one of your questions, what's the movie that wasn't nominated that you think deserved to be nominated?
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta find out what year that came out. Then I'll answer you back. You can go first. I know my answer right away. I have to like.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I know you're Kevin.
It's a
Brother Max is gonna
Cam
go.
Smith.
It's got to be Kevin Smith film. It's got to be.
Yeah, you knew it exactly. And so okay, I was just trying to figure out which
What year did
year.
Mallrats come out?
Oh no, it wouldn't be Mallrats, but yeah, but essentially 2011. Okay, so I have to go back to that. I kind of see what movies came out that year.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. That would have been a tough year, but still. um, but okay, so mine would have been. Oh, that's a tough year. Mine would have been Red State.
It took me two. The first time I watched that, I was really pissed
Oh, really?
because everyone's like, Kevin Smith is making a horror movie. And I'm like, okay, cool. Red State. Love the title, Red State. I'm thinking blood on the screen. It's going to be very, very grindhousey. Is the way that my mind went.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to it, and it's just about a bunch of weirdos that want to protect their gun rights, and
Yeah,
I just kind of,
like
I
the very religious church and everything.
yeah, I just kind of like walked away going, well, that was what the hell I got wrong, because we're horror fans. There's
Right.
always those movies that people say, well, you know what, this is a horror movie, and you walk away going, dude, the Addams Family is not horror.
It's
It's comedy. It's
it,
made as a comedy. It's meant to be funny. It's not.
right.
There's
It. very
Dude,
tongue in
are
cheek.
they creepy? Are they creepy? Yes. Are they kooky? Yes. But they're kooky more than creepy.
But so 2011, the year, the movies that came out that year that was nominated was Winter's Bone with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh,
That
dude,
was
I
an okay
love that
movie.
movie.
What?
I love that movie.
I thought it was really, it was okay. I could see, I liked her performance in it, so I really liked her in it. True Grit, I really liked that movie.
That was probably one of Jeff Daniels' worst performances.
Oh, really?
You can hardly understand. You're gonna talk like this for the whole movie, and you're gonna have to guess what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
know.
Marble Mouth, you know. Oh,
Whereas when John Wayne did this movie in 1969, he was just talking. He wasn't rattling, you know. And I know that I know that Jeff Bridges can talk because I've heard him talk before. And
yeah.
go on like this. It's like, dude, come on, man. I hated that movie.
Oh,
It did give us Haley Steinfeld though.
yes, I liked it, but should have been nominated. I think there's better movies that year. You know, don't like Red State. Give him a, you know, Toy Story 3. I saw that in theaters. Like,
I'll say this right now: the best out of all the Toy Story movies,
is 2.
too. That's
Yeah,
always going to be my
yeah.
that's my go-to.
Well, I agree. It's just something about the whole story with Jesse and
Collectors and
yeah,
yeah,
it was like that was like it's one of those rare cases where the sequel is better than the first movie.
yeah.
Yeah. The Social Network. I I really love the Social Network. I just like
Took me
I.
forever to see that movie.
What'd you say?
Took me forever to see that movie, and then when it got over, I was like, I felt like, okay, I've
So
seen it. I don't think I'd ever watch
I
it
was
again.
I the that was the I think that was the last time I watched the Oscars. Really watched the Oscars was because of the Social Network because Trent Reznor was nominated for an Oscar that year for the music for Social Network.
That's right.
So and when he won, I'm like, turn it off. Like
You
it was
can't
really
top this, man.
yeah like
The cat,
the one that I wanted to
the
win
cat from
won.
9 Inch Nails won.
You're right.
Yeah.
127 hours.
Okay, I really like that. That was a good movie.
Yes, that was a really I can see why that one got nominated. That was a really
And
good.
I think that's the only movie I like James Franco in.
I I've only I like him in other stuff, but that's his best acting role for
I
sure.
honestly feel that his brother is a better actor than him.
Dave, yes, I have more. I think Dave is a better actor than James. Like, yeah. The kids are
To
all
me,
right.
James always never saw it, but I know what it's about, but I never saw it.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. Here's one of your eye movies, Inception.
Inception. I was surprised. It took me a long time to watch that movie because everyone's like, "You're not going to be able to understand it. You got to be thinking on 14 levels to be able to get through the whole movie." And I'm just kind of like, this is what people were saying when it came out, and I
That's
watched it. I'm going, how slow are these people?
well, that's how I felt with Sucker Punch. People didn't understand Sucker Punch. I'm like, guys, she's going into this made up world
Dream World.
in her head to kind of escape what she's actually doing in the real world. And I'm like, that's all you have to do. And so everything that you're seeing in the movie in the dream world is kind of like manifestations of what's actually going on. Like the lighter, for instance, is the dragon, and it's just
Yeah.
it's not wasn't that hard. I'm
It wasn't
actually
that hard. I 100% agree with you, and I love Sucker Punch.
I'm
Sucker
like
Punch should have been nominated.
I'm gonna watch that later tonight. Now so I haven't thought about Sucker
Yeah.
Punch. Yep.
Honestly, I thought that movie was gonna catapult the one that played Baby Doll.
Emily Browning, I think.
Yeah. but
Yeah,
she kind of like fell off the side of the cliff, and no one ever
yeah.
heard from her again.
Like it's a Zack Snyder movie, so it's like that's like I'm surprised. Um, when did that movie come? I went and seen that in IMAX.
I
Oh,
saw it. Yeah, I saw it. And I walked out of the theater going, "That's the coolest movie ever. This movie's going to make a buttload of money," and everybody didn't understand it. And I'm just kind of like,
yeah,
"What's
so,
to
came out in
understand?"
2011 too. Came out in 2011, so like yeah, it should have been nominated. I think for a good story. Like to me, that's what makes a good picture is a good story. And you got the last three are The Fighter. I thought that was okay movie.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
saw
like
it once.
I like Black Swan. I like that.
Black Swan was good.
And then the one that ended up winning that year is The King's Speech.
See, I'm sorry. I would take Black Swan out of all those
Hmm.
over the King's Speech.
I think that's
And
from my understanding. I think that there was a little bit of controversy about that movie as well. Uh,
Pan's Labyrinth, I like that one a bit better than The Shape of Water. I really like Shape of Water. I think I think I'm the minority in this. I mean, there's a lot of people that did like it, but I just like the really cool idea of a 1950s
yeah,
creature feature romance.
a rated
You
R
know,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
Do
like
you like the theatrical or extended? I like them both, to be honest.
yeah, like I like the extended because you get that really cool musical number. A little, right? I
Right.
think that's I really like Oscar Isaacs. Wow, like how far he's come, and and I like. I'm trying to think. I wish it would have added if like the only problem with the extended cut is that it still cuts away from the language when what's her name? Is it Vanessa Hudgens is in that movie?
Vanessa Hudgens, yeah.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
she dropped the F bomb and it still like cuts away. And I'm like, oh man, it should have just. But the music
I
for this movie was
I
fantastic.
think she was I think she was still doing Disney at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so I think they could have given that line to pretty much anybody
Mm,
else and it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But I think at the time she was still doing she was still Disney or something.
okay.
But I mean, look at the cast of Sucker Punch, dude. You got Emily Browning, Vanessa Hudgens. You got, I mean, Carla
Jen,
Gugino,
I like Gina Malone. I like she was really good in it.
Jenna Malone. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at the cast right. Oscar Isaacs, John Hamm. well, he's only in it for like a few seconds, technically, or for a couple minutes, but but yeah, it's like that's and it's I think it's probably one of Zack Snyder's better movies. Like it's an original movie. That's what
Yeah.
I and
Well,
that's
that's the thing. He does, there are certain people that do really well when they come up with their own stuff.
mm-hmm.
I mean, he came up with his own twist on Dawn of the Dead, and
Right.
even though it's a remake, it's his own twist, and that was what made that movie outstanding. I prefer the remake to the original.
Oh, I think now I think you're really starting to make everyone in the chat.
No. It's all. I've always felt that way. I like Romero. My favorite Romeros are Night and Day.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Dawn, I feel that there's a whole like weird pie fight scene that comes out of nowhere, and it honestly takes me out of the movie. I mean,
I,
it takes away all the creepiness out. I'm just kind of like, after that, I'm just kind of going,
I
and
think the
the fact,
I
yeah,
think
go
the
ahead,
director cuts that out.
huh?
the director's cut of Dawn. Does it?
Oh, good.
I think
But
because you got Dawn of the Dead as we know it, and then you got the director's cut, which is a little bit more serious, and then you got the Goblin.
see, that's the Euro cut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then you got
that's the Euro cut. And from what I understand, the Euro cut's a much more serious film than the American cut, because Dario Argento and George Romero were best friends.
Yeah, I
And
heard.
Dario Argento had the rights to the European release of Dawn of the Dead, so he recut the movie and took out all the goofiness. You know?
Oh, I must have misread then. I thought they added all the goofiness in. I haven't watched the European one in a long time, so I might have to break that up too tonight. But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I mean, but so when Zack Snyder came out with Dawn of the Dead, and I was like, oh my god, please don't let there be a pie fight scene in this, and it was just straightforward horror. I was like, okay, I can get on board with this. You know, this was really, really good. Different strokes for different folks. We all have different opinions, and all are valid. Thank you, Professor. At least you're
No,
not.
I was
At least, no. At least he's not that person that says, "Well, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one." You know, like
yeah.
I.
But yeah, but I agree with you. I think I was on a stream where we were talking about our favorite Romero zombie movies, and I mentioned Day was my favorite just because of like how dark and horror-esque it was, and
How gruesome, yeah.
so that was my favorite. Like as much as I like Dawn, Day has always been my favorite, and it's like the underdog of the. I think someone put that.
Yeah.
Said it that way. It's like it's the underdog of the franchise. I'm like,
Yeah, as much as I like Night, I mean, because I love Night. I think I'm not claustrophobic at all, not one bit. There's nothing I could sit in the tightest box and it wouldn't freak me out at all.
same.
But that movie gives me the feeling of claustrophobia.
So speaking of that, like claustrophobic, have you ever seen the movie Rogue about the killer crocodile movie?
Oh God, yes, I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay. So I was watching it the entire time, and I'm like, I haven't had this feeling in a long time watching the movie, and like after Rhoda Mitchell's character ends up getting taken away by the alligator, and he's in his little lair, and they're trying to escape, and that crocodile is sleeping, and it's like, oh man, I haven't been that tensed up in a
Isn't
long
that
time.
great?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, I like the movie regardless, but it was just like that particular scene like doesn't get enough talked about. I was just thinking about that, like wow, like this scene, show it to somebody, and just like him trying to get out of that little cave without making any noise while trying to get out of water,
Yeah.
carry this lady while this 25-foot alligator is sleeping, and it's just like it's intense, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I got tensed up. I haven't done that in a long time for a movie, and I was just watching it on a whim. I wasn't even like watching it just like because I was feeding Arlo at the time. I'm like, oh, I'll just watch this, and he fell asleep, and so I got into it, and I was like,
Yeah.
and it got real tense, and I got real tensed up when that scene came up for no reason, and then I'm like, after that scene was over, I'm like, oh man, I haven't felt like that in a long time. But
That's awesome.
and that the claustrophobic kind of comes into it because it's a very tight space, and
Yeah.
like I gotta be very quiet, and it
That's
was
the
just like,
only movie though. But that's the only movie I get that feeling from, because I watched The Descent,
oh yeah, I didn't
you
get that feeling
know,
from that movie either.
and my mom gets freaked out when they're going through that little tiny hole,
Uh huh.
you know. Um, but yeah, it doesn't bother. So it's really weird. It's like I love it when there's like horror movies that can like just invoke some kind of like reaction.
So speaking of reaction, like claustrophobicness, 127 hours. That movie. It wasn't so much the claustrophobicness. It's like the fact that we know what he has to do to survive and to
Yeah.
out. And when he finally does it, that's why I've only watched that movie once. But I know everything that happens in that movie. It's still pretty vivid in my mind, but it's just like that particular scene where it's like he has this dull pocket knife and he has to do what he has to do and just cut off his arm like that.
The funny thing was is like before that movie came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the movie came out, the survivor of that movie was on David Letterman. You know, so he was, you know, because it's a true story. So like, oh, we're having so and so on to talk about, you know, what it was like to survive, and he's standing there, and so it's like, okay, and then like I don't know, I think it was maybe a year or two later that when the movie came out, you know, and so I was like, I already know all about this.
Yeah.
I saw the guy on David Letterman.
Did you speaking of like oh man, when Lone Survivor came out, did you ever watch that interview?
Lone Survivor
with Mark Wahlberg and he was the only survivor of his little group of his little platoon or whatever.
Yeah, a little platoon over. Okay, yeah. Yes, I did.
So but they actually interviewed the actual soldier,
person, yeah.
And like I don't know if she meant it this way or she just misspoke or I think she definitely put her foot in her mouth inadvertently or whatever, and she's like she kind of hinted at the fact that maybe like there was more than one survivor by accident, and it was just like, oh, like she probably didn't realize that he's the only survivor. She was kind of like, you and your other soldiers or whatever, soldiers, your other crew. And it's like, oh my God, like lady, like you just said something.
It's called research.
So it was just like, oh no.
It's so weird. You'll watch an interview and you're like, can't you people just, you know, walk
right.
away? I mean, it's a little bit different than when we were kids. I'm not sure how old Professor Macabro is, but when we were kids, you had to, you know, read the paper. Nowadays, I mean, it's like music mistakes are some kind of mistake in a movie, where you're like, why are they playing? You know, the year is 1961 in the movie. You know, okay, but that song doesn't come out for like another 3 years. Why are they playing? You know,
that was my biggest problem with A Knight's Tale with Heath. Bring it back to Heath Ledger again. When they had Queen playing in there, like it was set in the medieval times, and they were the crowd was doing the stomp clap for "We Will Rock You." Yeah, and I'm just like, no, like I don't know why it bothered me. I don't like it shouldn't have bothered me because it's kind of a stylized movie to begin with, but it's just like and I know other movies do this all the time, you know, like just taking movies that don't fit the movie or out of error or whatever. It's just like that particular bothered me, you know, and
Stranger Things. The first season of Stranger Things drove me nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love Stranger Things. I think it's an awesome show.
Oh, yeah, like we talked about like in text.
But David Harbour is driving around in this, you know, he's sheriff. He's driving around in this vehicle that won't be around for another year.
It's a Bronco, right? Or
yeah, but it's the custom Bronco that it's the fact that actual Bronco won't be around for another year for like the styling and all that stuff, and the Shady Haze of Winter by the Bengals.
Okay.
Right? Okay, well, the Bengals recorded that song for the soundtrack to Less Than Zero in 1987. Even though the TV show takes place in, even though the Stranger Things takes place in 1984, it's like I remember bringing this up to the guys on the Dorkening when we used to do the Sunday show, and I'm like, oh my God, there's this and this, and they're like, you're just being oversensitive. You're just, it's like,
I think
well,
I
here's the thing. Here's the
uh,
thing. I grew up in the 80s. It's not that it's not the fact of being oversensitive. It's the fact that was my decade, you
mm,
know. So I remember when Hazy Shade of Winter came out because I was a big Susanna Hoffs fan. I was a big Michael Michael Steele fan of the Bengals. She played with the Runaways in the 70s. So I mean, I'm just kind of going, it's not that, it's just that I remember him, I remember the 80s. And you guys weren't really there.
oh, I, I I I was in '89, so like obviously like I don't remember.
No, but think about it, man. Just so okay, so you're born in '89, so you
Yeah,
spent your teenage years what in the late
nine.
'90s,
Yeah,
early 2000s.
right.
So imagine someone's making a movie set in 2001, right?
Yeah,
And here's all these cues, but all of a sudden out of nowhere they have an Ed Sheeran song in it.
that would bother me. Well, like
I
yeah,
mean,
it would truly bother me. It's like it like they
yeah,
have this the like when like around that time the BMX stuff was like kind of coming back and everything, and the X Games was really popular, and so it's like then all of a sudden they would have something
the
like they throw something so weird like Ed Sheeran in there when you got those kind of like that doesn't fit, it's just like no,
yeah that
like yeah,
yeah
I totally understand. I like no, you're voicing your like things like yeah, like a little consistency or a little like you said a little research,
a little research.
um Arlo is starting to get a little bit more rambunctious here, as you know, as I'm leaving. So we'll end it in about a few minutes.
Okay,
One
Professor
uh
Macabro says I get what you mean. That '90s show had Jurassic Park 2, and that hadn't released in the time the series takes place. I haven't seen that '90s show. So give me I think it's supposed to be 95. Is that right, Professor? If so, just but but yeah, that's annoying. That just it just bugs
yeah,
me. I
you
mean it's
you're right. It's
oh
95.
95. So Jurassic Park came out in 90. I'm I'm gonna say 91, 92.
Lost World, um 97. And
No, well, I was thinking about the first one. I was
oh
trying to work my way up to
yeah,
Lost World 97, and the third one came out in 2002, 2001. It seemed like there
Jurassic,
was a bigger jump between the
yeah,
second one and the third one.
yeah, I think you're right on that one. Jurassic Park 3, 2009.
Really?
Yeah, Jurassic Park 1, 93.
Yeah, got that.
All right, let me double check that. Let me make sure that's right. Jurassic Park 3. Why does it bring up a map? Uh, okay. Oh, 2001. I don't know why that
So
was
the
wrong.
place 1990. Then
Yeah,
that's weird.
yeah. So Jurassic Park 3 is definitely
So
2000.
if it takes place in 95, I would think that there'd be like tons of Quentin Tarantino, stuff that they'd be talking about.
Yeah, they did do a Clerks reference or Kevin Smith reference, which makes sense. Because Clerks was 94, I do believe, but yeah, it should have been totally like that. I didn't realize. Yeah, so Professor, he's confirming us our information. Good, we have a backup. But yeah, back to we'll talk about your. Did you watch the movie for the Wicked Horror Show tonight?
No.
Me neither. Like,
Actually, here's an update. The person that's supposed to be on the Wicked Horror Show tonight is not going to be able to make it. They have to reschedule, and so there's no show tonight.
Oh, okay.
So there was a change of plans. I got that information from Kevin before I popped on with you.
Oh.
But yeah, it's really weird. I don't know. It's just one of those things. The whole first season of Stranger Things, I was just kind of like constantly going, why are they talking about this? Why is, here's the thing for everyone that's younger than me. Honestly, I'm going to sound old now.
Here's the thing is, like, you may be but I'm the youngest out of everybody. It's like
that's the way it was with Tony on. That's the way it was with Tony on. He was always the youngest, But so the word mullet did not exist in the 1980s. You can look it up. The word mullet was created by a rapper in 1994.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you but
no, so when you see people like that have the short on top, long in the back hairstyle in the 80s, it wasn't called a mullet. It was called a hockey cut. Hockey players would get this haircut that it would keep the hair out of their eyes, but it would keep their necks warm.
Yep, you're right. It was I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm reading. Where did I just read it?
That's right, Professor. Business in the front, party in the back.
Right. Yeah, it's where did it say it?
But yeah, it's so funny because I always hear people go, "Oh, mullets," and I'm like, "Dude, we didn't call them mullets back then." It was
it was who'd you say it was? It was a rap. It was the Beastie Boys.
Okay.
They used the word mullet head in their '94 song. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you didn't walk into a haircutting place and go, "I want a mullet." You walk in there and you go, "I want a hockey cut," or I want party. Like Professor says, I want party in the or business up front, party rear. Something like that. But the word mullet never existed until '94. It drives me nuts.
So
so
hearing that saying in like a decade that shouldn't have been said, it's like I understand. We talked for 2 hours. Can't believe that. That's awesome. So what we originally started out with was reviewing this and talking about it.
We worked around it.
Yeah, we did.
We worked around it. Yeah.
Do you recommend this movie? Like, we definitely talked about how the U.S. version should be one that watched.
I would definitely recommend this. I would definitely recommend this movie if I'm going to go through the Brother Max. I'm going to say that. Yeah, I need to think of what I need to write it down because you have such a cool rating scale.
One is run of the mill. This is the horror one. It's like one is run of the mill horror. 2, best watched with a group. 3, it's more than average but adds nothing new to the horror genre. 4, helps move the horror genre forward, and 5, being a classic.
See, here's where the problem lies with and I love I honestly love your rating scale. I think that, I mean, as long as you're watching the American version, I think this would definitely be worth watching with a group,
Yeah, I agree.
which gives it a 2.
Mm,
But it's a 5.
it really is.
You know, it's a
Like
classic. I mean,
it it has influenced big
so
directors. And like we've talked about, like
yeah,
Quentin. Like it's like there's no shadow of a doubt that that was who he was homaging as LA Driver, you know, and
yeah.
and but yeah, like I agree with you. It's definitely a horror. It's definitely a classic.
I
Honestly,
actually, I mean, a lot of
it,
people would probably say that Wes Craven's Last House on the Left
yeah.
probably spurred the revenge thing, but I think this movie came this and She Killed Me, which is another one you need to check out if you can get it.
What is it?
I think those two, She Killed in Ecstasy.
Okay,
It's from Severin. They have it.
okay.
Um, but those two movies I think really helped spawn the female femme fatale out for revenge type of thing. You know, this and then that one, you know, a few years later, I Spit on Your Grave came out, and then Miss 45, and you know,
Oh,
and you go all the way up to, you know, Savage Streets, Angel, the Angel series, and Tarantino's movie Kill Bill. You
I
know,
remember you have She Killed in Ecstasy, right?
yes, I do.
Yeah, because I'm looking it up. I remember the box that
Yeah, it has Miranda Soldano in it.
yeah, that little blue window on it in the front. That's a cool box. That is a really cool artwork on the front. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely worth grabbing. I mean, there's it honestly, you watch that and you watch this back to back, and you'll get your your full meal of
um, so okay, yeah. I think we talked about this movie really well. We talked about the Oscars. We talked about claustrophobia. I love this. Was a very fun. Do you want to pick the movie for next time?
uh
Kind of picked this one. I didn't know if you wanted to pick a movie to watch for because this is my last day off for a while, so I have people to watch whatever you suggest.
man. Well, let's if you can get a copy or if you can find it somewhere online, let's watch She Killed in Ecstasy.
Okay. Um, I get paid.
We'll keep going down this revenge.
Okay. Well, perfect. That sounds like. Um, let me. Yeah, that sounds perfect. I'll try and get me a copy of that movie because it's actually on sale right now. I think.
There you go.
Because I'm on yeah, it's yep, it's on sale right now for $25.
And she has the young star of that movie has a very tragic story, you know.
Oh, it comes with a CD too. That's cool. Sorry, I was just like I'm just looking at the special features and I was just like, oh, that actually seems pretty cool.
It's funny. I was just watching. What the hell was I watching? I love to record like older movies, like movies from the 50s, 40s, 60s, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when I have nothing to, you know, it's like, oh, I can go grab a movie from the Doom Room, or I could just watch something on the DVR. And so I usually like kick through like the old classics. And I
Mm-hmm.
was watching it was Raquel Welch.
Who recently passed?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was.
she was
I
left out,
had
wasn't she?
no. She was one of the last two.
Okay,
It was like her and Gina Lollobrigida.
okay.
Um, but it was with it was Raquel Welch, Jim Brown, and oh yeah, okay, and Burt Reynolds in a movie together. and it's this old Western. And at the very beginning, Burt Reynolds is in bed with this hooker. You know, it takes place in the West, right? Prostitute, hooker, call it what you want. And
I prefer
she,
the night.
yeah, yeah. And this woman gets up and out of bed, and she walks over to the window to see what's going. And I'm like, I know her. You know, she's butt ass naked and looking good. I'm like, I know her. Where do I know her from? Where do I, you know, the credits haven't run yet. It's
Okay.
one of those things where they like get you into the movie, and all of a sudden, boom, you know.
A nice
And
cold going on.
it was 100 Rifles. That was the movie.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden, it pops on, and I'm looking through it. I'm going, I know her. What do I know her from? And there it is, Soledad Miranda. I'm like, oh, she killed in Ecstasy, Vampire Lesbos. I know her.
So, this is gonna be my first time watching this movie, so like it's gonna be fun to watch this for the first time. Like I think as we've talked about on when we do the 31 days, like you have your Italian Sundays, and I am
Yep.
like Italian movies in general are like my kind of like or even this is kind of like my blind spot. So it's going to be kind of fun to kind of
to dive into it,
because when you wanted me to watch the movie with the wax figures,
oh, yeah.
I really like that movie a lot. So I'm like, oh, I can, like, I haven't really, I'm like, really like.
There is a different way of telling a story over in Europe.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I mentioned in there. It's like Italian movies just feel different, and that's kind of like I should be watching more of them. And like
this is a German film.
Okay.
And
it just got me. It just got
no. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I believe it's a German film. It's a Jess. I think this is a Jess Franco film.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box right now.
But because he did a lot of movies basically in Spain, but this is a Jess Franco film because there were a few times he went to like Germany and other. Yeah, so it's now all coming back to me. Yeah, so this is a Jess Franco film, and Jess Franco is known for sleaze.
Do I need to watch Vampiros Lesbos or is it just?
You don't need to, no. They're you don't need to watch it if you want to. That's more than
No, I was just like I'm just looking at it, I'm like, oh man, like the box set for both of these, like the box.
Yeah,
it's just like
exactly.
I love it. It's just like it's simple and clean and just like,
and it's a picture,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I might, and it's on sale too. So perfect.
yeah. I mean, she didn't honestly, dude. After these movies, she winds up dying.
Oh, the Miranda.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she winds up dying in a car accident. Yeah, it's not like she she was drinking or anything like that. She just gets into a car accident, and it basically just kills her. And she'd already been doing movies from the early 60s up until then. But if you watch the thing on, when you get the movies, watch the story on her. It's really interesting because it talks about the fact that in the 60s, they would just put her in movies as like a dancer or a singer, or it really gave her a chance to perform.
Gotcha.
Say what?
Like eye candy, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eye candy. But I mean, it was more than that. It was like she could actually sing. I mean.
Oh,
but
cool.
so she would sing or she would dance, and it's like, okay, here's your role. You're a singer, you're a dancer. So for the 1960s, she did really weird. I'd like to see some of these because I haven't, but like really weird, like beach movies,
Oh, okay.
but over
Yeah.
in Europe, you know. And so when it came to the point where she was being cast in, like, she killed in ecstasy or whatever, she was to the point where she was just kind of like, look, this. She was almost ready to quit,
Oh.
and then she got like 100 Rifles. She killed an ecstasy, Vampire Lesbos, and a few others, and she actually got to act. And then she gets killed in a car accident.
Oh, that is like a shame.
That's tragic.
Yeah, that is like just starting to really get your break, and then that happens.
Yeah.
Alrighty. It looks like we picked our movies for next, or for whenever these come in.
Right.
But I'm sure, because I'm about to start a nice stretch of work week, so it'll be a little bit of time before we do this again. So it's good that we went long today.
Yeah.
So, what else? Yeah, it's like we talked about this. Like, once again, we talked about it's a 5 for the Swedish version, a 2 for the U.S. version.
Well, no. It's a 5 overall as a classic.
Yeah,
As a classic, but it's a.
Sorry,
but I say when you get to the, if you want to watch the U.S. version with friends, then watch it with friends. But
right,
yeah,
sorry.
it's really hard. I mean, I love your scale, but man, sometimes I'll sit there going, "Damn, where do I want to put this?"
Oh, like that's kind of why I put a 4, as like it helps move the genre forward, because sometimes it's not a classic, but it does do things. I should probably like revise that one sometime, but like it just like, oh, this movie may do this really really well, and then another movie does it and does it better, and it helps. That's kind of how I saw it, as like, that's kind of why I put that in there.
Yeah.
That's like 4. Like a movie rarely gets a 4. I think a 4 is the rarest of them all out of my rating scale. Just because it's just
this could be. I mean, honestly, this could be a 4, but I honestly feel that it's a classic.
It's definitely
but
a
I mean,
2,
it really did help.
or definitely 2, 4, and 5 for sure.
Yeah, because it definitely, as you mentioned, and we already have that. It helped bring in the other revenge movies.
Mm-hmm. And like with Quentin, like I would have known about this movie if it wasn't for that. So, and then like it spawned from there, like me following up other ones. So it's helped helps the horror genre, or helps move a genre that I've not seen forward with me. Like it's up to interpretation on that one. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think that is it. Oh, go ahead.
You know how you love the fact that I'm watching Game of Thrones, and you're like excited. You're excited about that. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to. Well, I'm excited to the fact that you're really digging into the Euro stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's so cool.
I do have. I love foreign movies. I do have like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. That's a Swedish film.
But do you have all 3 of them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
I
have.
I need to get the extended versions. I just have the regular versions of them to pull them out without destroying my. Yeah, I have the really cool box set for it.
Oh, that's so cool. See, I got mine. That is really cool. Damn. I was at Blockbuster one time, and the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo had just come out.
The
American version. Which I don't care what anyone says, the American version is just as good.
Oh, I agree. I love Rooney Mara as Elizabeth, and like and they have the extended versions in this like this as well, so that's why I need to pick it up. Yep, he is
so yeah, the girl with the dragon tattoo had just come out, and they had the millennium editions.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm
talking about
at Blockbuster, but they had them used, right? And so I could buy that exact same set at like Costco or Walmart for like $30, or I could buy them used at Blockbuster for next to nothing. And so it was one of those things where they're like, buy 5 movies for $20 or buy, I'm like, okay, girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl that kicked the nest, the girl, grab those 3. And then I'm like, okay, all I need is 2 more. Here's your $20. I brought them home. And I'm like, I'm happy. And they were all on Blu-ray, And I was like, okay, so I now see, and I'm glad I did, because I never saw him after that when I went into that same Blockbuster. So, Arlo, your little fingers go.
Yeah, he actually I've kind of gotten up and down just to kind of check on him, but he slept for 2.5 hours, so he's hungry. It's his time. It's his feeding time.
Well, that's why whenever you got up, I would just consider chattering along.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any dead space.
I can hear you just fine, because he was literally just like right off camera, so it was no big deal.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I was just trying to make sure that there was no dead air.
I'm trying to think what else. I think we had a buddy. This is your first time being on camera with me.
Well, the back of his head, at least.
Yeah. Let's see. A little bit better. There we go. He's my buddy. There's a lot of movies you can't watch yet.
Come over to Uncle Wolfie. I'll show you all the good movies.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of movies today, and a lot of those you can't watch, especially our main.
You can. You just won't understand them.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there where can people find you at, Wolfman?
You can find me over on YouTube at the 13th Wolfman, or YouTube the 13th Wolfman, Twitter at the 13th Wolfman, Tumblr 13th Wolfman, The Prowl. I haven't been there for a while. I really should get back into writing on there. So, and what about yourself?
The one in MSJ everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, here on YouTube. Do you have any videos you got coming up?
I'm just trying to motivate to start doing them again. But yeah, I'm working on working on a list of like what I want to. I still have like a bunch of like midnight movie reviews I want to do.
Okay.
I started a really cool set like a couple months ago, and I just kind of like let it go.
I understand that. Like, streaming has just been a little bit easier, so I don't have to edit and everything. But I think and it's just nice to do it with somebody who has. I've known you for 10 years now, so
yeah.
So it's like we have a rapport.
Yeah, we've been chatting back and forth for 10 years, brother.
I know, right? And that's amazing. It's like, it's like I was just thinking about that the other day. Like when we haven't collaborated in a while, so I was like, oh man, like wow, just 10 years, like
yeah. Yeah, I still haven't gotten into the whole streaming thing. I honestly, I love the thing I love about doing videos is I love editing.
Oh, me too. I love editing as well. The computer, the desk that I have in front of me had my computer on it. It's just sitting in a chair over on the other end of the room. But I'm like, because I bought a new camera and to edit, to shoot videos with, and everything. I just haven't had time to set it all up yet. But
Yeah.
I wanted to make my videos look cleaner, and because like I shot all like 10, like I shot all, what 8 of those 10, 11, 31 days on one camera. So I'm like, I had to like, it was starting to get to the point where like Max is a little blurry, you know, and it doesn't look as clean and sharp. And
I'm still using the same camera that I've been using. It's a Canon, and I love that thing, dude. It's so funny. It's like, so way back when I got my Canon, I also that same year on Black Friday, I was in like an Office Max, and I picked up a secondary camera. So I'm like, okay, well, when I go out, you know, I could just shoot on this, and I actually have it here sitting at the desk. I never use it anymore, but this was my secondary camera. Whoops, there we go.
Oh, mine's up. Yeah, I've since retired it and put it on the shelf. This is what I used.
Oh, JVC, I looked at those. I really did. When I was looking at to get a camera, that was one of the ones I was looking at. But I went with the Canon, you know.
That was the one my
So
dad
yeah,
got.
this was my camera, and then it's got the little plug it in.
Oh,
See,
that's cool. That makes things easy.
Yeah. Little the memory card goes right there. But and then the year that Into the Storm came out. Do you remember that movie?
Might have to refresh me on that one. I'll look it up.
Well, it basically takes place in the Midwest, and it's about a giant like tornado coming into town and wiping everything out. And this kid has a GoPro in that movie. Well, the company that ran the promotions for that movie did a contest, and I won a GoPro.
I've not seen it, but I remember the poster.
Yeah, it's actually a really good movie. It's a disaster, but I won a GoPro from.
Oh, you won GoPros? With the
yeah, so I won that contest. It was like one of 10 people were going to win. You know, or 10 people were going to win out of like whoever, you know, I entered, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm going to win this.
Right.
And then they got hold of me, and they're like, okay, well, you won. It took me forever to get my camera from them, though. I had to keep on pestering them. I'm like, you know, they're like, okay, and finally got it. So I have a GoPro Hero 3. And so when you see me in the car doing stuff,
okay,
that's the GoPro.
Your little mobile reviews and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the GoPro.
Okay.
And so the thing is that the GoPro 3, it shoots everything in a fisheye. So it looks all bubbly. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like this is cool, but how can I get rid of this bend? I you know, I found out in editing that if you I had to learn how to do this, but you throw one application on top of it and then you drag it down to -28, it looks just like this.
Oh.
Because a fisheye is a 28 millimeter lens. So if you take the negative out of it, it's a regular flat lens.
That's pretty cool. That's I love editing. Like I love making my short films and everything. I need to get back. Oh, now I got a little buddy to help me make them.
He does a little clapper.
What? Oh, like scene and action.
Yeah, he's the one that
All
does the
right.
clapper. Just put the little clapper in front of him.
Wolfman, I definitely gotta go. He's definitely hungry. It's definitely feeding time. So,
Yeah,
thank
we've
you for
chatted
joining
enough.
us. Yeah, thank you for doing this. I had fun. Like, I had I there for a little while. I took about a 2 week break from like joining any streams or anything like that. And then when we did on Sunday, this past Sunday and today, it was just like, oh, I got a little bit of that juice flowing again.
Yeah,
For and then like then the movies that you like I'll be watching for next time. So I'm looking forward to getting those in the mail soon. So we'll have a good conversation next time. Like the
yeah.
first
I
time.
think I'm gonna want. I think I'm gonna wind up just ordering straight up seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8 for GOT because I went out last week and they're hard to find in thrift stores, man. They really are.
Yeah, like I found mine at mine at Disc Replay for like actually let me see how much I bought my the last season for like $5 I think.
Oh wow.
Like I don't no $20. Sorry, the last season for 20.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah,
I can get the last season brand new on Amazon for 26.
yeah, it's yeah, I think yeah, just Blu-ray. So and it came with the extra disc as well. So I don't know how many. Um, so it was a complete set. So I'm like I didn't feel too bad about it. Oh, you're talking.
Yeah, I did some pricing yesterday on Target, Best Buy, and Amazon, and Amazon overall. I mean, Target and Amazon, it's basically the same price for season 5,
Okay.
but for season 6, Target has it for 34, and Amazon has it for 21.
Oh, okay.
Season 7 is 26 and 27, so they're roughly around the same price. And then season 8 is 28 and 26. You
Yeah,
know,
that one's still kind of because it's still kind of newer. And I started
yeah,
watching House of the Dragon, the prequel to all of this. It
right.
takes place like almost
200 years before. Yeah,
it's that first episode's really good. I'm like, and then I told Ariel, like, I started it, and she's like, "You started it without me," and I'm like, I'm like, you need to hurry up. Just watch the first episode.
so here's the stupid thing, right? About a month ago, we had HBO free,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they were doing a marathon of House of the Dragon. And I'm like, okay, I could record them and watch them, but I had no intention of ever watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna watch this. Why would I record it? Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's how I like when I tell Ariel like, "Oh man, I should have bought this," and she's like, or this or that, and she's like I'm tired of hearing you say this. And it's like you just need to buy it. And, you know, like when you talk yourself out of buying stuff, it's like it's annoying. And I'm like,
Here's the rule I live by now, right? Because I thank you for the story about Ghost Whisperer. One
oh,
year, I went into a Walmart. There they had a copy of the Ghost Whisperer, the complete series. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna wait till it's on Black Friday. That way, when I'm over here, I'll get it for a cheaper price. Black Friday comes around and they didn't have a copy of it anywhere. I'm like, what the hell? You know? So then I went to all different Walmarts. No one had a copy of it. I went to the Walmart out near my place that following weekend, and they didn't have it there. And I'm like, okay, what? They just took it out of production, or So in the back of my head, I used to think, well, there's a reason I didn't get it. It's like I didn't get it because somewhere down the road I'm going to find it for a better price. And a lot of times that does happen, but because I don't want to spend so much time looking for it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what made me buy Game of Thrones. Is I said to myself, I go, you know what? If I see it and it's a decent price, I'm just going to grab it. Screw it. It's not worth me chasing it around, you know. And I actually really like Ghost Whisperer, even though the Jamie Kennedy years were kind of weird.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah, he shows up.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's interesting. And he's not even that bad of an actor, I don't think.
no.
I think
It's got nothing. It's got nothing against him. It's just the where they took the storyline. You know, he's he plays a professor at a college, and his thing is that he his the deals with like mythology and all the and like history of like cults and the occult and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so he knows after he meets her, he gets to know her for a while, and he realizes, yeah, she can talk to the dead. She can see the dead. She talks it, but like for the first season, if not a little bit longer than that, with him on there, he
Mm-hmm.
still doesn't believe.
Okay.
He still doesn't believe her life, and you're just kind of going, dude, really?
That's
Really?
so. That's
For a fact.
that's kind of why I liked the first handful of seasons of X-Files. Is Scully was still the skeptic, like she's starting
But
to believe more, and that's what made the first few seasons. I'm only on season 5, but that's what I've really liked so far is the first few seasons because there's a good dynamic because of she's
right,
a skeptic.
she's the up. He's so head first, all the way
Yeah.
with it, and
Ooh.
she comes from a medical world. That's the thing, though. Scully comes from the medical world where a lot of doctors don't believe in God.
Right.
They believe that the reason that you're alive isn't God's. It's because I patched up your heart. All right,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I really have you seen all the seasons of X Files?
No. So the
Oh, dude.
yeah, I've watched. So here's the thing: I've watched a lot of episodes from all the seasons, but never
In
all.
order.
Yeah, so because they
Right.
used to box in the middle of the night, so I'm like, I would just watch it.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying.
So,
Yeah, I've got all. I don't have that box set, but I do have like all the individual seasons. You know,
the only reason why I bought it this way is because it was cheap. I bought it for like $90 or something like that.
and see the thing is by the time that box set came out, I'd already acquired like I think like 70 or 80% of like all the seasons, so it wasn't worth. You know,
It also comes with the event, so like season 10. So that's why I bought it that way.
oh, that was season 10 was so bad.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I heard there's like at least a couple good episodes, but
There's a couple good episodes, but they really missed. Once you watch it, you'll understand, but
okay.
it doesn't have that X-Files feeling. There's a few that do, but it just seems like they're there to dwell on the fact that Scully and Mulder, you know, aren't together or whatever. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's coming up that I can't tell you about. But I mean,
yeah, we're dealing with right now. I'm dealing with Scully's like the kid that is Scully's kid right now.
oh,
That's where
Right. Oh
so,
wow, that's yeah.
so
So have you seen Home yet?
home.
They g-
Oh,
well, it's one.
oh yeah, the with the incest family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched that. It was like it was one of those awesome nights where it was storming out, and I watched it, and it was just like, ooh, so it was perfect. And I watched.
Yeah, they showed that once when in the original run, and then after that, it was banned for the longest time from being reshown.
Yeah, and then they have the uncut. They have like the alternate cut of the opening on the disc.
Right.
Well, so I'm like, oh, I'm like where they actually have the sounds and everything. I'm like, oh, I'm like that would have played totally different on TV.
I think you should be you should be, if not already have seen Ryan Reynolds.
I think I have. I keep running into people like, oh my god, I can't believe he's in this. And like,
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds plays a high school basketball player playing Boom Boom.
yeah. Um, uh, Speaking of that, Burn Notice. And they had a young Michael B. Jordan on there, and I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
my god, I can't believe. All right, buddy, we'll go. We'll go. All right.
Seth Green shows up in there on X
Uh,
Files.
oh yeah, he was. They were out watching the sky by the.
Okay, so you seen that? See, I'm just all of a sudden it's all coming back to me, and I'm like, I don't know what seasons these are in, but I know that Seth Green shows up on a moped.
Yeah, and I think I watched. Was Jack Black in an episode?
Yes, he was. Yep.
Yeah, so I watched that episode too. So I was trying to think of all the guest stars I've seen so far. And as of right now, that's like I can recall. So, all right, I definitely got to go now. I know that's like the fifth, sixth time I've said this, but he's
No, that's
like
okay.
he's drooling, he's hungry. All right, well,
You have a good day. Bye, Arlo.
oh, say bye to Wolfman. Oh, buddy.
His head
Your
goes
head.
back.
Yeah, his head. He's like, come on, like
His head just goes straight back.
his head. He's starting to hold his head up more and more, but sometimes he's just like, goodbye. I'm just gonna start lean whatever I want to go. So say bye to everybody. Hey, take care,
Bye.
Professor. Thank you, Wes, for joining. Echo for joining in the chat. Everybody, I appreciate y'all coming by and engaging us and helping us for information and everything. um,
Thanks a lot, guys.
yeah,
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Professor.
it.
Still
And
missed
thank
the
you.
last season, but that's not really. Well, never. It must be talking about the X Files.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. See y'all. Hopefully we'll do this very, very soon. As soon as we get our movies in.
Yeah.
So,
all right. You have a good day. You
too.
go feed that little guy. Bye.
Oh yeah, I'm getting yelled at by a cat too to be feed. So the house is hungry.
We're almost going 3 hours, so you got to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, everyone's hungry now. So, all right, buddy. Any last words? Oh, okay.
Oh, works for me.
Yep. All right. See y'all.